There are many things you can do with soap. Ivory is the best soap to use. It's softer. You want to use a fresh bar. You can use a black Sharpie marker for the eyes. You can use tempera paint if you want to paint the object. If you're a little more adventurous, you can use other kinds of soap. They're harder, and you can make turtles. You can make alligators.
The first lesson, and this is creating the wooden carving knife.
You need Titebond or some kind of wood glue. You need a dull pen of this nature. You need toothpicks or some kind of spacer, something to take up space, and you need popsicle sticks. Easy to find. I like using the colored popsicle sticks. You put the wood glue on both sides of your popsicle stick. You stick your popsicle stick inside the dull pen. You then stick a toothpick spacer in to help take up some of that space, and you use a clamp, some kind of clamping mechanism. You can even use rubber bands to clamp it until the wood glue dries. Now, when you're finished, you'll have a popsicle stick knife, wooden knife, but it has a rounded edge. I like to take that rounded edge off so that they have a sharp point, which they will use in their carving. They will have a long edge and a short edge for carving.
This is the blade of the knife. The long edge is the edge you will sharpen. The short edge is the dull side.
You have to teach the boys to put the knife flat down on the sandpaper board and then rotate the knife up slightly at an angle. You can see that. And tell them to go 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And stop and then look at their blade. And they'll see a stripe where the color has been pulled off of it. It's important that you tell them only to do it so many times, because otherwise they'll keep sandpapering it until they have no blade. So you need to stop them and have them look at it, and then have them put it on again, rotate it up, and sharpen again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stop and look at it again. Now I can already tell that I'm carving or sharpening on the hilt and not the tip because of the amount of color that's worn away. Also, looking at it this direction, you can see that there's more wood worn away here than here. It's squarer here on the tip. So when I put it back down on here, I'm going to be rotating it up, and I'm going to maybe put my finger here and put a little more pressure so that I get a little more of the tip worn away. And then look at it again and again. Now this is more even. I've taken more off the tip. Now that's one side. You then can have them put it on the other side, tip it up, and do it again. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stop and have them look at it, and they can see that that line is happening again. And at this point they should have, you see the little red line? That's very nice. You want to leave some, you don't want it really razor sharp, because the wood will splinter as they're carving if you get it too sharp. So you have to leave some bulk on that wooden knife tip blade.
What is it you're sharpening it on?
I'm sharpening it on a piece of sandpaper that's been glued to a piece of wood. And it's very simple to do. You use a little of the wood glue and about 100 grit or 120 grit sandpaper. And you can see, I actually am looking at the knife. You can see when the knife is sharp because you can see a line here instead of the broad back. You can see this is not sharp and this one is sharp. You can see the line of where the sandpaper has worn away the wood. And I'll teach them to hold the knife next. I tell them to hold the palm up. The other hand is holding the knife. They are to put the hilt of the blade right at your knuckles and then wrap your knuckles around that blade. Okay? Let go of it, and then they should have an open palm and they're holding the blade, and their blade is parallel with their thumb. Then they're to close their hand and the knife blade comes against their thumb. And they can rotate that blade a little bit by just moving the knife hilt this way or this way. But they open their palm, close their palm, open their palm, close their palm, and they must practice this in the air. Pull cut. Then I show them the push cut. They have to take the knife blade, loosen their fingertips, and make the blade, the sharp blade, go upward. Again, parallel to their thumb. Then they close their hand so that their thumb is against the dull part of the blade. And when they open their hand, they're doing the push cut. They're pushing into something that they're carving, like that. Okay? So I have them do the push cut. Same motion, just a different blade orientation. And again, I have them do the pull cut, and they're pulling. And when they carve something, they're going to be, it's like they're going to pinch something off between the blade and their thumb. That's the pull cut. The other tool that you use is a strop. You know, you have to get the debris off, and we just use a popsicle stick, and we do a flicking motion. We hold the knife steady, and we flick with the popsicle stick to get rid of the soap that's on the knife. Now, it's very important that they do this. It's a way to slow them down, for one thing, for carving, to say stop and strop. So they put their soap carving down, and then they clean their knife like this. Make sure you use very fresh ivory soap in the plastic. You pierce the plastic, you open the soap bar, and you have your fresh ivory soap. When you're carving, make sure you have something to catch the soap, either some kind of drop cloth, a bag, or and make sure you have a dustpan and broom to clean up with. In carving, you'll notice it says ivory. The first thing you want to do is get rid of that symbol. You can teach the boys to put their knife straight on the soap and go back and forth in a scraping motion. This is not really carving, it's just a scraping motion to get rid of the ivory. You don't want a bear that says ivory on it. Now, most times your knife won't go all the way across, so you have to scrape it and then turn it around and scrape it again on the other side of it. Don't let them dig into the soap. Do it lightly, otherwise they'll have all kinds of scrape marks on it. The boys, some boys will be faster than others. If one has finished one side, you can have them turn it over and do the other side. Now, at this point, they will use their knife like a pencil, because they need to mark their carving so they know where to carve things. You're going to have them draw very shallowly a line 1/3 of the way through the soap in this direction. Telling the boys exactly what direction is very important. Knowing that the long side is the one that's divided into 3 is very important. Try to make them as even as possible and go all the way around the soap. So this is like a pencil. Now, the other reference mark you're making is long ways, halfway through the bar of soap. And you're going to make it all the way around. These reference lines will help you carve the bear. Now, we're trying to teach the boys how to carve, not necessarily to carve a bear. So we concentrate on the cuts. Remember, we show them the pull cut, and they have to show us that. The first cut we're going to make is a pull cut on one corner. They can choose any corner, but they do the pull cut. They pinch the soap between their thumb and the wooden knife and cut from one corner, one marking to the other marking, getting rid of the corner. It'll go, you'll get rid of this part all the way back. Make sure they're only taking small cuts. Don't let them take one huge whole chunk. Smaller, smaller, smallest. It's very important that they do small cuts. Always have their thumb on the soap. When they're doing the carving, they can be in any direction. In fact, I like encouraging them to move the soap around to any direction and just continue carving and carving that corner off. Keep going down further and further until they get to the lines. Okay, make it as flat and as even as possible. Now, I'm already to this line, but I'm not to this line up here, so I have to work up here. And again, I'm pinching off pieces of soap until I have the corner off, and have them hold up their soap bar and show you the soap. Now that's the pull cut you've been practicing. They practice the pull cut with that. Now the next one is they have to practice the push cut. But first they should probably strop their knife. And I don't, this way, clean the knife, stop and strop. Now, the next corner, don't let them use this short corner here. Have them use the next length corner. They do the push cut. Remember, the push cut is where you have the sharp end up and you go this way. This is going to be something they don't want to do. They don't like this cut. Put their thumb on the broad end of the soap and then have them push away. This is the way the push cut works. Okay? I keep telling them you don't use your elbows on push cuts. A lot of people think you do this. You use your wrist and your hands on push cuts. It's not safe to do it this way. If you do it this way, you can go into your leg. It is, Boy Scouts will use a table between themselves and what they're carving, because sometimes they do go this way and it's safer. So everything's about safety. You need to do this safely, and this is a good practice cut for this. You can also have them do it on this side and push cut from the back and push cut from the top. Okay, have them stop and strop again at any point in time. Now both cuts should look very similar, and they should hold up the soap again to show what they've done. Don't let them do the pull cut when they're supposed to be doing the push cut. The reason why they're doing the push cut is to practice. Okay? Again, as straight a line as you can get, as flat as you can get. Usually a lesson, the first lesson goes sharpening the knife, maybe taking off 2 corners or doing a stop cut here and here. And by that time, about an hour has gone by, so you need to be able to stop the lesson. So you put your soap in a Ziploc bag, your knife in the Ziploc bag, your strop in the Ziploc bag, put their name on it beforehand, and keep it for next week. Now, the next cut is a stop cut that we're going to learn. We take one end of the soap, one of the short ends of the soap, and we put the knife up and down and do a saw motion back and forth, and then you pull out again. Then you can put your thumb on that angled part and pull to that cut and stop and pull out again, and you can use your finger to get rid of that little chip. And then again, you do the flat up and down sawing motion, pull back out, and do the pull cut to that stop cut. This is the stop cut. What you're doing is you're stopping the motion of the next cut and protecting this edge. All pieces, 1, 2, 3 saw motions, and then go down in. Pull out again. Don't let them scoop it. You want to have them go straight in and then out again, because we're going to want this straight down and up motion. Okay, we want a straight down cut and then a sideways cut. Straight down cut and a sideways cut. Now this is making the nose of our bear, and you have to go in fairly far to get the nose and head of the bear. So I'm just going to keep doing it. This is a part where if the boys rush it, they can break off the nose or they can break off a foot of their bear. I go down about a ½ an inch or so on this cut. Then you can flip the soap around so the nose is pointing downward and his butt is pointing up, and they love that word, butt, and do the exact same thing. Go stop cut and pull cut, but don't go as far. Maybe 2 or 3 times you'll do it. You're going to be making his tail for that, and you only need to go in maybe 1/4 an inch to do that. Okay?
We still have to get rid of a lot of soap on the belly area.
What we do is we flip it, the one uncut side up, Make sure that they're orienting it right. What they can do is hold the back cupped in their hands. Now they have those two reference lines. We're going to do a V-cut. We're going to show a couple of ways to do the V-cut. We're going to put our knife on that line, and we're going to push down a little bit, pull out, and then we're going to turn the knife so that it's going to do a push cut toward where we just came out, and I'm going to pull it back, and I'm going to do this, and we have, you can hopefully see a V. I'm going to do it again. Put my thumb on the knife and do a pull cut, pull back out, turn the knife, push cut, and turn it, and there it is, a little deeper again. We're going to do it again. We're going to do a pull cut, pull back out, reorient the knife, push cut, and pull back out, and there's that V again. Now we're going to do two V cuts. This is for the back leg. Now we're going to do the front leg. I'm going to do a push cut, back out, and pull cut. I'm going to do it again. Push cut, back out, and pull cut. Okay? And you can see that V happening again. Push cut, back out, and pull cut. Okay? Now, at this point, you're going to have a funny looking, there's a front leg and a belly that drags and a back leg. What we're going to want to do is take a little bit of that middle out. You can do a pull cut, but try to make sure they don't take too much at one time. And get rid of some of the belly, because you don't want his belly to drag. And you can get rid of some of the edges while you're at it. Now, as you can see, the legs are lower than the belly. Again, I think the back leg needs a little deeper, so I'm going to do the pull and the push. You can start to see the shape of the bear. There's a back leg, a front leg, a nose, and a tail, and a back. This back leg needs a hock. So again, we take off, and I use the pull cut, we take off a little bit of the corner, not a lot of it, just enough to make a hock, okay, like that. So that's the hock, and this is the foot. Now, this is the part where the boys have difficulty. They're going to be learning how to cut into this flat surface. So far you can see a profile here, but we need to make the profile change. So we're going to do a pull cut here and then a push cut here in front of the back leg. And we're going to do it in the back of the front leg here. Okay, and what that does is it separates your belly from your leg a little bit. And it's a very strange type of cut, so they usually have trouble with this. It's easier for them if you work with the nose. You notice this is a nose, but in this profile it's very, very broad. So what we want to have them do is cut very slowly at an angle here on the flat side to make that nose narrow down. And they're going to want to do it on both sides evenly, so that halfway through they'll have a pointed nose. Okay, so there's our pointed nose. They can do that for their tail. Get rid of this edge here. Don't go to the hock, only go to the tail. And do this side as well. And you can see I'm using a push cut. You can have them use a push or a pull cut, whichever. And there's the tail, so it's narrow. At this point, they're going to wonder where the ears are. There's a reference line here at the end of the head, and you can do the stop cut, and then do a pull cut from the back toward the ears. Do it again, stop cut, and do a pull cut toward the ears, and do it maybe one more time. Make sure it goes down a good 1/4 inch. And now they're seeing a bear. Now you can see that it's only one ear. They're not separated. So we do a small V cut. And you can do this as two pull cuts or a pull and a push cut. One side and the other side. and you've got 2 ears. You could do it this way, just as long as they don't come down the forehead. But now they have 2 ears. Now, this is very square looking, and again, we're going to work on this flat surface. We need to come up the leg, under the chin, in a pull cut, stop, and do a push cut under the jaw. Okay, like that. They have another side to do. They come up the leg, and then you have to be very careful on this. They will break a leg on this particular part. Have extra pieces of soap already partially carved so that if someone loses a leg, you can just hand them another soap that has some finish to it, and they can start working on their soap bear. Okay, so you have, again, more of the bear. This side does not have the same as this side, so we're going to do this part again, where we do the flat surface V-cut. I'm doing the pull cut, push cut. And remember, you're doing it as though it's a belly, so it goes back this way on the rear leg, and it goes toward the nose on the front leg, this way. Now at this point, they can take their knife like they did earlier and just kind of scrape it around their bear and get a roundish look to the belly. Okay, like this. It gets rid of all those lines, and they can do it a little bit on their legs. Be very careful of those legs. Just kind of scrape it along the back. See how square that back is? They can actually scrape it along the back. I like to do it at the ear line. I like to actually go down a little bit so that looks like a shoulder. So I go into this flat part just a little bit. Get rid of those square things. Again, that's sort of stop cut, protect the ear in this side, and scrape. We're getting rid of the corners of our bear. The funny lumps that you might not like. And again, this is the part really makes your knife very dirty, and you'll need to have them stop and strop. And now, at this point, there are only a few more things you need to do. It's kind of nice to have a little area for the eye, so you flatten one part just below the ear on either side of your bear so that you can put an eye dot on it. There's also only 1 foot here and 1 foot here. We know there's 4 feet. So we take that pencil effect again, and we draw halfway down the bear, the feet of the bear, and I do it sideways. You might notice you can dig a little deeper. Don't dig too deep because you don't want them totally separated. You just want to make a demarcation, a line that goes from under the chin around to the belly. And then you skip the belly and you do the back leg. You go in and you come up to the hock, and from the hock to the tail, and there you have 4 feet on your bear. And like that. There are things that you can do if someone has a gash that they don't like. You can use your knife to sort of plaster soap over the gash like this. Say there's a marking a reference marking that was too deep. You can use your knife, the side of the knife, to mold it back as a stopgap measure. Here's a little bit of a mistake, and you can wipe it out like that. Okay. At this point, your bear is pretty much finished. You can use a Sharpie to put his eyes in. Now, Sharpies work for a little bit of time, but once they get too much soap on them, they'll stop working. It's good to try to eyeball where the eyes are even horizontally and everything else. I've actually had boys who wanted to do, little mouth and nose type things. That's okay. And this is the finished soap bear. transition from the wooden knife to a real knife, because you don't want to go directly to wood. It's very hard. We do vegetables as a practice. Now, they know the pull cut and the push cut. At this stage, they'll have something protecting their thumb. I usually do 3 vegetables. We have a potato for the V cuts, a carrot for the stop cuts, and the apple. Make sure that the apple and the potato are able, the boys are able to clasp them, and they're not too big. Now we'll do the pull cut first. You have them put their thumb on that apple, and they want to peel the apple. This is a very practical thing for if they go camping. They can move the knife around, or they can move the apple in their hand to try to peel it. Don't let them take chunks or stab at the apple. They want to peel the apple. It's a very important skill. In the apple, you can do the push cut for peel. Okay, but make sure that thumb stays on the apple. With the potato, we're going to do 3 kinds of V cuts. I asked them to do a pull cut, back out, turn the potato around at about a 1/2 inch away from that first cut, do another pull cut, and then pull back out. We should be able to move that piece out with a finger, and you'll get a V. That's 1 V. We'll then do a pull cut in another section, back out, and this time we'll turn the knife, and about a 1/2 inch away we're going to do a push cut. Now I like to use my thumb at the back of the knife, pull back out, and again you have a V cut. So the first one we move the potato, this time we move the knife. So you can do a push, turn the potato. You can do a pull, again turn the potato, or you can do a push-pull, in which case you turn only the knife. So V cuts in a potato. It's very important to show the 3 different kinds, and you have to turn something to get that V cut. The carrot, we do a stop cut. So I usually make sure that they hold one end of the carrot and the rest of it is exposed. We go straight up and down to do the stop. And remember, they can put their thumb on the carrot and do a pull cut. And I want that thumb on the carrot because you don't want them pulling into the other hand. You can do the pull cut here. And that's, a lot of boys, they'll push too hard and oops, break the carrot. You don't want them to break the carrot or go too deep. You only want them to go a little bit and then do the pull cut. Now, there's a way you can make a step ladder by doing these stop cuts. Now, if you want them to practice the push cut, you can have them turn the carrot around and do the push cut. And again, do a stop cut and a push cut. A stop cut and a push cut. Make sure that they're pulling their knife back out, that they're not doing a scoop method, because you want to see that check mark. And again, a stop cut and either a pull or a push cut. For that, and they'll make a little ladder, carrot ladder. To get their whittling chip, they need to actually carve on wood. So a lot of leaders like to have them sharpen a pencil. You can do the pull cut, sharpening that pencil. Most boys, when they do the push cut, instead of doing it right, which is maybe bracing with the back thumb or the front thumb, because this is awkward, they'll tend to do this. So be careful. As you notice, all this carving, the vegetable and the wood carving, I do with a table. You must have a table so that their legs are not exposed. So you can carve a pencil for their project. They can also carve, you can get a kit for a whistle. The whistle kit has a stop cut already put in it, which the boys then will put their thumb on the hold in and carve down into that stop cut. And it goes down, and you have to carve all the way down, and usually it's about a 1/2 inch. There's a line here that they give you that you can carve to. And I like to have this glued on for the boys' projects, because if they do the push cut, they can put the whistle down on the table angled, and they can push into it like this without any danger, because they're going to actually use their shoulder, and this is no danger. You're keeping everybody away using the blood circle, and it's not dangerous to them, so they can go ahead and use that, you know, shoulder a bit. And it's a very hard thing to do, to carve wood. You want a very sharp knife. Once they get down so far into this whistle, you'll notice that the hole starts showing. And I'm doing this fast, but they need to keep to small chips. But the hole is part of that whistle. When I always celebrate with them the minute that hole shows up, because it's hard work to get that to that hole. And they're almost finished when they do that. They have to keep carving. They carve down to the point where the hole is totally exposed, and it has that check mark of the stop cut and the pull to. They then have a piece of doweling that they've, a lot of times I prepare it, cut here, a flat spot, and you insert it into the hole. You have to adjust it to get the sound. If you push it all the way in, some of them won't work. This one is out because that's where it works. So they love that project. That's carving in wood.